Hi, my name is Tim Strain, and this is Glimpses of Eternity, and this is part one to my testimony. So, the date, we're going to start on the date of November 13th, 1999. I was 22 years old. I was with my girlfriend at the time. She became my wife later. Her name is Shannon. We're not together today in 2025, but in 1999, she was my girlfriend, and we lived together in Waterford. We had an apartment, and on the 13th, it was a Saturday, we had cleaned the entire apartment spotless. Spotless. And thank God that we had, because later we had found out that had we not cleaned, that we probably wouldn't have survived it, because having the place cleaned left a clear exit, you know, strategy to get out of the house when the fire happened. Otherwise, we would have been tripping on things in the smoke, and we probably wouldn't have survived it. None of us. But we happened to clean on the 13th, Saturday, the day before the fire. Not only did we clean, but we went grocery shopping. We had our fridge full. I remember we had gotten Coronas and all kinds of groceries, and you couldn't even fit one more thing in our fridge. It was like the best day. I figured, like, I got all my bills paid. You know, we had paid all our rent. We had all, for a 22-year-old kid, I felt on top of the world. I literally did. I had all my bills paid. I had a good job. Our rent wasn't even that much. She had a child from a previous relationship, and I had a child that I had on weekends, my son Jake. And on the weekends that we had our children, we both had our children. And on the weekends we didn't have our children, neither one of us had our children. So I think that was the big connection between me and her, was that, we had kids around the same age, so we had something to do together with our children. On the weekends we had our children, and then on the weekends we didn't have our children. You know, me and her back then, 22 years old, we liked to drink. That's what we did on our free time. Unfortunately, neither one of us drink today in 2025, but back then we did. And in addition to cleaning the apartment and getting groceries and doing everything that we had done that day, we also took down the cribs. Literally the night before, we took down the cribs. Now, the cribs that we had turned into toddler beds. So we turned the two cribs into toddler beds. And the next morning was going to be the first morning that the children, 2 and 3 years old, could get up out of bed without calling for us to come get them. They were free. So, I'm just going to start with my memory of the details of the morning of the fire. So this is November 14th. I don't know how early in the morning it was. My memory, it seemed like it was really early, but I think I was told that it was probably like around 9 a.m. or something like that, maybe 8:30 a.m., I don't know. But the kids had gotten up early, and we didn't know they were up. We didn't hear them. We were sound asleep. And all I remember was hearing Shannon scream. It woke me out of my sleep. that sound of her scream will haunt me till the day I die. I'll never forget it. She screamed. I woke up. I looked out our bedroom and out into the off the bedroom. There was like a dining room, and then off the dining room was the living room. And I saw like, that weird colored light that flickers, like like really early in the morning when the sun is that really, really like orangey reddish color, like when it's coming in. It was like that color, but it was flickering like a candle. And that combined with her screamed, I immediately knew what was going on, that there was a fire. So she jumped up, ran out of the room. I jumped out of bed, ran after her, and we both were just dumbfounded, just like standing there, stuck on stupid, staring at the couch, which was roaring with flames. The flames were roaring off of the couch to the ceiling. And you hear the fire like roaring. She said, "What are we going to do, Tim? What are we going to do?" For a second, like not even a second, a half a second, I debated, can we put this thing out? And it didn't take more than, like I said, a half a second to realize there was no putting this thing out. We had to get out. We had to get out, and then we had to get everybody in this building out. There's 3 other apartments in this building. So she says, "Where are the kids?" That's when the panic set in. We didn't know where the kids were. I just want to say that not knowing where my 2 and 3-year-old children were in a fire was the scariest moment of my life. So we started yelling for them. "Tyler, Jake, come to our boys. Where are you? Tyler, Jake." Now, the kids were 2 and 3. They started the fire with a Zippo lighter that they had found. So they were feeling guilty and feeling like they had done something wrong. They felt like they were in trouble. So they were hiding under their beds, which is the worst thing that a child can do in a fire. And unfortunately, children don't get fire safety until they are, older, not at 2 and 3 years old. And that needs to change because it's life or death. It really is. You need to start teaching fire safety as soon as a child is old enough to comprehend. Start teaching them what to do. But they went and hid under the beds. So anyway, Tyler came running out, and we couldn't see because of the smoke really, but he ran right into me. So I picked him up. I handed him to Shannon, and she's like, "What do I do? What do I do? Where's Jake?" So I told her, I said, "Get him out of here, and I'll stay and I'll find Jake." So I pushed her towards the door. The last thing I saw was her running out with Tyler in her arms out the back door. And I turned around and went into the living room where the couch was ablaze. I just wanted to add into this part that when she left out the back door, there was a backdraft that was created and the smoke and flames intensified. And I think that's when I got flash burned. Because in the back of my mind, I was panicking, thinking that my only 3-year-old son was burned up in the fire in the couch, like gone. So I actually went in the living room into the fire and just felt to see if he was in there. I don't know. I was panicking. I don't remember feeling burns or feeling pain or anything. I just remember being very scared. where's my son? You know, he's not going to die today. And if he does, I'm dying too. So I was panicking. I was more scared than I've ever been in my entire life. So, um, I started yelling for him, Jake, come to my voice. If you don't come to my voice, we're going to die. And he ran into me just like Tyler in the smoke. I was headed towards the back door, the same way where Shannon ran out with her son, and he ran into me. So as I'm headed that way, I pick him up. We get to the back door. I try to open the door, but the door handle is wicked hot, which is weird because the fire's on the other side of the apartment. But they told me it was like 1,500 degrees inside of that place after the fact. So I can't open the door. Shannon's on the other side of the door trying to open it. I'm on the inside trying to open it. We can't get it open. There's a small window in the door, so I smashed the window out with my arm, and I pushed Jake through, and he gets out. And Shannon grabs him from the other side and takes him. But I'm still trapped inside, and I'm panicking. I can't breathe. I'm breathing in smoke. I know one more breath of this black smoke, and I'm done. I'm dead, 100%. I'm holding my breath, and I smash the window. I stick my head out the window to take a breath of fresh air, and in my panic, I'm thinking I can climb out this little window that's barely big enough to stick my face through. So I realize I'm gonna die. And in my panicking, my mind racing, I think, okay, I'm gonna try the door one more time. If it doesn't open, I'm gonna have to run into the bedroom, find the window, hopefully that's bigger, and jump, smash through the window and get out. I don't know if I would have made it if I went that route, but what? Sorry to keep freezing the video, but I recorded this all from memory, and later I remember things that I forgot at the time. But at this moment in the story was when I breathed in the blackest smoke I had ever could imagine, and it just sucked all the air right out of my lungs. It was horrible. I couldn't breathe at all, and it was the moment I thought I was going to die, and I was panicking real bad. It felt like somebody punched me in the lungs and sucked all the air out. What happened was I tried the door one more time, and this time it had opened up. And I found out later after the fact that the reason why the door opened was because when I smashed the window to send my son Jake through, it released the pressure that was in the door from the heat. So that was why I was able to open the door. So we had a back porch. I got out onto the back porch and basically collapsed on the steps. I had skin on my back that was literally burnt and ripped off, that was hanging down to my feet. It was disgusting. I was completely butt naked, but I was black because I was completely covered in soot. Like the neighbors that saw me, that talked to me after the fact, they're like, yeah, you were naked, but we couldn't even tell. We didn't even know you were because you were all black, like from the soot. So I remember the cop, the Waterford police officer, the first one on the scene to talk to me. I don't remember his name, but I remember he gave me his jacket and he covered me up and he walked me out to the ambulance. And he wished me luck and hopped in, and I'll never forget that guy. He pretty much saved us. I got in the ambulance. Right there, all the neighbors were lined up on the street in Waterford on 4th Ave, watching me come out from the back of the building that's on fire, butt naked, and get in the ambulance. And I remember Shannon, like, vaguely, I remember Shannon screaming at everyone and saying, what are you looking at? I don't know if it was because I was naked or she was just embarrassed or upset about the fire. I don't know. It was kind of bizarre because You come out of a house and you're in a fire and a tragedy, and there's just like, it's like a parade almost, like people watching a parade. Like they were lined up down the sidewalks, just all watching. So, but yeah, I didn't give a shit. I was not in any condition to be embarrassed at that moment. For me, I don't even know how the heck I survived, but I ended up in the ambulance. I remember they're flying, panicking. The ambulance EMTs, they're going around corners. I'm sliding from one side to the other to the ambulance. Every time I slid to one side, the skin on my back would rip right off because it was all burnt and melted. And I told him, I said, stop. I said, slow down. You're killing me. They said, we got to get you. This is critical. I says, well, I'm going to die if you don't give me something for the pain right now. I need something for the pain. They said, we're going to get you something. Just hang in there. Hang in there. We're meeting somebody en route to the hospital. They're going to get in. They're going to give you something. You're going to feel better. Just hang in there. Hang in there. And that's what happened. The ambulance pulled over. A RN nurse jumped in route to the hospital, like met us in transition, like on the way. She jumped in. She gave me something, probably morphine or something, and that was it. I was out. I don't remember anything. The last thing I said was, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. And then I was out. The next thing I knew, I woke up briefly at Albany Med, and they were telling me that they were flying me, they were going to airlift me to Syracuse University Hospital, one of two burn units in New York. There's only two burn units in New York. One's in Westchester, and the other's in Syracuse. Usually they go to Westchester, but that night of the fire, November 14th, 1999, there was a storm south of Albany, and the chopper couldn't go through it to get to Westchester. So I ended up going to Syracuse and being in the burn unit there, which ended up being a blessing because my sister, Michelle, happened to be going to college at the time in Lemoyne in Syracuse, which it gave me a family member nearby the hospital I was at for the next 4 months. Well, 3 months in the hospital there, because I spent another month back here in Schenectady at Sunnyview afterwards. But they loaded me up in they said they were going to knock me out, give me something, and then they're going to load me up in the helicopter and fly me down to Syracuse. And the lady who flew the helicopter, I actually met her a few years ago. I was at a firehouse in Glenville, and they had the chopper there, and I was talking to the lady, the pilot, and I told her about how I flew in one of these, and she said, well, actually, I remember you. I was the one who flew you. And she said the one thing I remember about that night was that was the most morphine I've ever seen anybody get in my life, ever. Why on earth they gave me so much, I don't know. But I think they almost killed me with the morphine. But anyway, when they knocked me out and they loaded me in the helicopter, I think that's when I died the first time. Because where I was in the helicopter or wherever I was, I knew my body was in the helicopter. My mind, my spirit, wherever. I guess I was probably still in the helicopter too, my actual being, my spirit, I'm saying. Because that's where I felt like I was. But Jesus Christ himself was there. Like, I saw him. It's been 25 years. And I've only told maybe, put it this way, the amount of people that know that I saw Jesus Christ that day in the helicopter, literally, 25 years. 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 I can count on one hand, because I didn't want people thinking I'm crazy or thinking I'm just some nut job or some Bible stomper. I'm not. I'm not. I'm a sinner. I have not lived a very holy life, even after the fire. And, I'm just starting to now build up my relationship with God. But back then, this is the truth. He was there. He was there. But you know what? I didn't know it was him at the time. But later, after the fact, I realized it was him. And I'll get into that. I don't know if we should end it here. I've been talking 20 minutes so far. There's no way I'm going to get through the whole story in one video. So I kind of wanted to do it in parts and segments. So I guess this will be part one. So we'll leave off with the fire happened. I was injured really badly. Near death. Maybe even died. Maybe even had my heart stopped temporarily for a minute or something. I'm not sure. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't know if I even ever died or if I was just really close to dying. But I know one thing, that I was like on the fence of this world and the next. I could see the next world. I could see into it. This is hard to talk about. It really is, because I don't want people thinking I'm nuts or crazy. It's just the truth, and I have to tell you, because it's the truth. This is not something I want to talk about. And I don't even understand it all myself, really. But, yeah, I'm just going to wait till the next one. I want to go into it, but I know once I do, I won't be able to stop telling, because this is the part where I first saw Jesus for the first time. And what he did for me, it really saved my life. I think I was going to die at that moment. The heck with it. I'll go into this one part. See if I can tell it before it's at 30 minutes. So, I felt somebody. Well, first I felt that I was dying. I felt a numbness in my toes. Then the next thing you know, I couldn't even feel my toes anymore. And then the numbness, it was slowly coming up. And then the next thing you know, I can't feel my feet. And I could literally feel it start coming up my legs, the numbness. And I'm getting stiff. This is while I'm in the helicopter, being transported to Syracuse, from Albany Med to Syracuse University Science Center Hospital. And I'm losing the feeling in my feet, and this numb feeling, it's slowly coming up my legs. And it's coming up into my midsection, and now I'm starting to panic because I know I'm dying. And I'm thinking, when this numbness reaches my organs, my vitals, where my chest and my heart and my organs are, I'm dead. It's coming, and I'm panicking. I'm going, oh my God, I'm dying. And I'm getting stiff, and I'm getting numb, and I can't feel my legs at all now. And it's almost to my stomach. It's about at my stomach, this numb feeling, and it's still coming up. It's coming up. It's coming all the way up till I can't feel anything. Almost my chest is starting to get numb, and I feel like I'm about to have a heart attack, or my heart's going to stop. I know I'm dying. All of a sudden, I feel somebody sitting on top of my chest. I can't see who they are, but they're like straddling me. Literally, one leg on one side of me, the other leg on the other. They're literally just like sitting on top of me. and they have a cup in their hand. They're holding a chalice, a cup, and they hand it to me and they say, drink this. So I take it and I start chugging it because I was burned. My throat is so dry. I need a drink so bad. I'm so desperate for something to drink. I just want something to refresh my throat. It's so dry from being burned. I have smoke inhalation. My throat is, I can't even explain to you how thirsty I was. The most thirst I've ever felt in my life. So I grabbed the chalice or the cup out of his hand and I start chugging it, desperate to quench my thirst. And to my surprise, this wasn't thirst quenching. It wasn't water. It tasted like it was blood, like real blood, which is weird. I know it's weird. I mean, I know, but that's what it tasted like. Not like church wine, not like when you have communion. It tastes like real blood. Like, you ever, like, taste your own blood when you're a kid? You had a cut and maybe sucked on it or did some, that's what it tastes like. It tastes like blood. And I had already chugged it because I thought it was something, cool to drink, like a glass of water or something. I started chugging it, right? And the next thing I knew, he was gone. He wasn't there anymore. But the numb feeling that was at my stomach at that point started to recede. The same way it had came up my legs, it started to go back down. And I started to get the feeling back in my stomach, then my thighs. Slowly went back down my legs. Next thing you know, I can feel my legs and then my feet and then my toes, and I gained my feeling back. I swear, I think I was dying, and that's why I was going stiff and I was losing all the feeling in my body, and it was, I don't know how else to describe it. I'm doing my best. That's what happened. And, at that point, I entered into a different realm too. I don't have any recollection of landing or, being wheeled into the Syracuse hospital. I don't remember any of that stuff. I remember waking up at Syracuse briefly because they let the morphine wear out enough to wake me up just so my family who was there, my mother, my father, a couple close family members, they were telling them that this is serious, I could die. This might be the last time you could ever talk to me again. So, and I couldn't talk. I was intubated, I had a trach, everything. I could just write. And they gave me a piece of paper and a pen, and they said, try to write whatever you want to say, write. And the first thing I wrote was, am I going to, and before I could write die, they yanked the paper away and said, no, you're not going to die, you're not going to die. Oh, I forgot to tell you, when I had woken up and in Syracuse, in the beginning, it was like when I first got there, when my family was there. The first thing I saw when I woke up, before I wrote anything about am I gonna die, was two priests standing over me doing the last rites. So, yeah, I thought I was gonna die. So the first thing I said was, am I gonna die? My mom still has the paper that I wrote it on. The second thing I wrote was, call Jeff, tell Jeff, who was my best friend back then. I haven't recited or thought about what I'm going to say because I always said when I tell this story, I'm just going to tell it because it's the truth. I don't have to do, it's not that hard to just tell the truth, tell a story that actually happened. So for me to just come up with the right words, That's what I'm struggling with. But because like I said, this isn't rehearsed. This isn't something I really thought about what I'm gonna say. I'm just telling it how I remember, you know. But I think we're gonna end it for the part one. We're at 30 minutes now and uploading video. Yeah, it just stopped the first clip. Yeah, uploading videos doesn't go very well. Uploading videos doesn't go very well on YouTube if they're over 30 minutes. So we're gonna end this. We're gonna call this part one. And stay tuned for part two. Please subscribe to the channel. Please share the channel with friends. I really want to get this message out to as many people as I can. I really appreciate y'all, and may God bless each and every one of you. This platform one day after I get my story out and my testimony out is going to be dedicated to other people who had the same similar experiences, near-death experiences, people who have crossed over, and I'd like to compare my experience to theirs, and I'd like to see what kind of commonalities that maybe from people who have died and came back across different religions and different, let's figure this out. We can find out what happens after we die by comparing all of our experiences of all the people who have gone through things like this. This can be a science that can be studied. And in a way, this is kind of what I want to do, is mix science and religion and get to the bottom of what happens when we die. I have a lot of insight on it, trust me, after where I was. And I definitely am going to share it with all of you, anybody who wants to listen. So anyway, this is Tim Strain, and this is Glimpses of Eternity. I wish you all a great day. Take care, and may God bless. Stay tuned for part two. Bye.
Goodbye.